Konnichiwa minasan. Hey friends, how are you? Welcome to Saral Japani YouTube channel. This is a place where we talk about Japan, the Japanese language and Japanese culture. This playlist is JLPT N5 Prep Guide, your one-stop shop for all that you need to pass JLPT N5. The name of the playlist is JLPT N5 Prep Guide. Friends, today is the second video, or in fact, the second lesson of this playlist, which is N5 syllabus. Yes, we will go over the syllabus for JLPT N5. Every exam or test generally has a definite syllabus, isn't it? And this is obviously the first fundamental expectation of a candidate. But surprisingly, when it comes to JLPT, although there is a very high level guideline of what is expected out of the candidate, there is no definitive syllabus or even test papers containing previous year's questions released officially from the JLPT board. But what's the reason for this? Let's see what JLPT has to say about it. The goal of learning Japanese is not to memorize vocabulary, kanji, and grammar, but to become capable of using them as a means of communication. That means the candidate is not expected to run after memorizing this stuff, but to actually learn the language honestly and sincerely. The new JLPT test is aimed to measure both Japanese language knowledge, including vocabulary and grammar, and the competence required to perform communicative tasks using language knowledge. Therefore, we determined that it is not appropriate to publish test content specifications, which includes the list of vocabulary, kanji, and grammar. So this communication is from the JLPT board. Friends, this is the overall composition of test items, and this is the official release from Kanji board. And you can see there are 4 sections: vocabulary, grammar, reading, and listening. And under each of these, there are different categories of questions. And these are the approximate number of test items under each category. So if you add all these up, you will obtain the total number of questions that are expected in the JLPT N5 test. There is kanji reading, orthography, contextually defined expressions, and paraphrases under vocabulary. Similarly, the sentential grammar and text grammar in the grammar section. We have reading comprehension and information retrieval. And then in the listening section, there is task-based comprehension, point comprehension, utterance expressions, and quick response. So now we will go into detail of each of these items, and we will see what actually will be asked in each of these questions in your JLPT N5 test. The first is kanji reading. So the type of questions that is asked is choose the reading for the underlined kanji. That means a sentence will be given, and in that sentence there will be several words in hiragana, katakana. So one of the hiragana word will be underlined, and there will be options. There will be 4 options, 4 kanji symbols. You have to select the kanji symbol. Although there is no official list of kanji characters released by JLPT that forms the syllabus for the N5 test, a list has been compiled by consolidating the experiences of JLPT seekers over the past 2 decades. This list contains nearly 100 kanji symbols, which may be broadly categorized into the following: numbers, days, date, time, then basic directions and names of places, commonly used nouns, which includes the natural and universal objects, man-made objects, which we see around us in our day-to-day life, then family relations like father, mother, brother, sister, wife, husband, and so on, and some other stuff as well. Then we have the commonly used verbs. So this includes again the very common ones like go, come, return, eat, drink, sleep, walk, run, play, read, study, see, purchase, and so on. And the commonly used adjectives includes color, size, whether it is old or new, expensive or cheap, and so on. So kanjis corresponding to all these things are generally asked in the N5 test. So what to do with kanji then? So I would suggest you to prepare your own list by combining kanji symbols from different sources. So that means your list will be the superset of all the lists available. And what will be those sources from where you will obtain these individual lists? This I will tell you now. So look for JLPT N5 kanji list on Google. Just search using this phrase JLPT N5 kanji list in Google and list down the kanji characters from the top 5 search results. So you will get the list of N5 kanji from different websites. You can just consider the top 5 search results of Google and make your own list from all the symbols that are mentioned in those 5 search results. Then list down all the kanji symbols that are included in grade 1 and grade 2 of Japanese school curriculum. You will get this list at https://jisho.org. I am sorry friends. So this is Jisho. It's not Isho. It's Jisho. Jisho.org. So that gives you the complete list of kanjis for each grade. So here you can see grade 1 and there are 80 kanji symbols. 80 kanji symbols for grade 8 and 160 kanji symbols for grade 2. So now it means that you have 80 to 100 characters from the Google search results, 80 from Jisho grade 1 and 160 from Jisho grade 2. And this will make your superset list run up to around 180 to 200 kanji characters. So that should be more than enough for your JLPT N5. So I hope you have understood how we have reached this figure of 180 to 200. And if you cover all these items, then the database of your kanji characters should be more than enough to answer in the JLPT N5 test. We shall discuss more on JLPT N5 kanji in a separate video of this playlist in future. So since today's video is only about the syllabus, so we won't go into further details of kanji. We will have a separate video on the JLPT N5 kanji in future. Let's move forward. So we have looked into the kanji reading. Next is orthography. So what kind of question is asked under this section? Choose the kanji for the underlined word written in hiragana. So there will be sentences, one sentence in each question, and each under one of the words in the sentence, there will be an underline. So you have to select the corresponding kanji of that hiragana word in that question. So there will be 4 options. Out of those 4, only one has to be selected. So to answer questions asked in this section, the candidate is expected to know hiragana characters and a vocabulary of around 800 to 1000 Japanese words and those 100 kanji characters discussed in the last slide. So for example, if suppose you get a word in hiragana as sakana. Sakana means fish. So in the options, there will be the kanji of fish. So you have to select that kanji. This is just an example. Vocabulary cannot be mastered in a week's time. This is obvious. So there is nothing to memorize here, but it comes with continuous practice and continuous and regular vocabulary build up gradually, and it takes time to assimilate and digest. So don't hurry in building vocabulary. Otherwise, you will forget everything. So give yourself enough time and just learn few words a day and keep revising again and again and again. Instead of memorizing, one should adopt the habit of regularly practicing and conversing with self in front of the mirror. So try to speak in Japanese in front of the mirror, ask questions and answer yourself those questions. And that will be a very good practice of Japanese. The next is contextually defined expressions. Now, what is that? A sentence is given and the candidate is asked to fill in the missing word. That is, it's simply fill in the blanks. Generally, more than one word will fit grammatically. So the options will be very confusing. So you will see that more than one option appears to be correct. But since it is a contextually defined expression segment, so the candidate needs to select the best answer that satisfies that particular context. So that means being contextual question, only one of those probable words will be correct for that question. So one has to be very, very careful. Otherwise, there are chances to go wrong in such questions. So to be able to answer questions of this section, what is needed is the candidate must understand the beginner's Japanese vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structures. So there is no shortcut to this. So one has to learn very honestly and sincerely the language, first step by step, starting from the very beginning, and then studying gradually and learning things. So now let's look at an example question from JLPT. So the question under this section will appear like this. There will be a sentence, there will be a blank, and then there will be four options. You have to select the correct option and fill in this blank. So this question is basically Sato Sanwa. So what is written here? Sato Sanwa ima dash o abiteimasu. Abiteimasu. So what does that mean? Sato Sanwa ima dash o abiteimasu. Now the options are Supa, Suts, Seta, and Shawa. So Supa means supermarket, we know. Sutsu is suit, then sweater, and then shower. And abiteimasu is the verb which means to take. Abiteimasu is to take. That means Sato-san is taking at Sato-san is taking dash now. Ima means now. So Sato-san wa ima dash o abetemasu. So it should be shower because he cannot take supermarket, he cannot take suit, he cannot take sweater. He can take shower. So Sato-san wa ima shawa o abitemasu. So the correct answer is answer 4. So this is just an example. So you can expect similar questions under this category. So we discussed the first three. Then we have the paraphrases. Paraphrase means choose the word or phrase that best replaces with the same meaning the underlined one. So a paraphrase is nothing but a phrase or a sentence or an expression that gets implied from another given sentence or several sentences. It can sometimes even replace those sentences. So again, let me explain it using an example so that it will be clear what kind of questions you may expect. So this is the kind of question. So this is the question and these are the options. So let's see what this question is talking about. So if you can read hiragana properly, you can see here it's written as Sochirawa deguchi desu. Sochirawa deguchi desu. And what is the second sentence? Iriguchi wa achira desu. Iriguchi wa achira desu. Sochira wa deguchi desu. Iriguchi wa achira desu. So what does that mean? Sochira wa deguchi desu means that's the exit. And iriguchi wa achira desu means the entrance is over there. So now we will see what are the options that are given. The first option is here. It says achira kara itte kudasai. Achira kara itte kudasai. Second is achira kara notte kudasai. Achira kara haitte kudasai. And fourth one is achira kara orite kudasai. So now let's see what are the meaning of these four options so that you can select the best one. Achirakara itte kudasai means please go over there. So now you have to see the question is that's the exit, the entrance is over there. So can these imply please go over there? It may or it may not, we don't know before until we see all the four options. Second one is achirakara notte kudasai. Please get on over there. Achirakara haitte kudasai. Please enter from there. Achirakara orite kudasai. Please get off from there. So now what do you think? Which should be the answer? That's the exit. The entrance is over there. So that means someone is telling someone that the entrance is over there. So the one that he was probably showing is the exit, not the entrance. So the entrance is not, that one is not the entrance. The entrance is over there. So the answer will be please enter from there, because this is the best bet in this. So this is the paraphrase that results from the question. That's the exit, the entrance is over there. So the answer is achirakara haitte kudasai. Please enter from there. So this is a very good example of a paraphrase question in JLPT N5. Let's move forward. So we have covered the vocabulary section syllabus. Next, look into the grammar section. First is the sentential grammar, selecting grammar form. So in this question, a sentence is given and the candidate is asked to fill in the blank by choosing an appropriate grammar form. So again, let's look at an example. So you can see here it's written Kesa dash ni okimashita ka. Kesa dash ni okimashita ka. Now we know that okimas means to wake up and okimashita is woke up. So kesa means this morning, dash woke up. That means someone is asking about waking up in the morning. So the options are nanji, what hour, doko, where, it's, when, and ikura, how much. So when it comes to waking up and there is again this ni particle, so we already know that when a ni particle is used, then it should be a time-based expression. Time-based expression should be preceding it. So out of these four, the best bet is the what hour or time. Nanji. Kesa nanji ni okimashita ka? That means what time did you wake up today? This morning. What time did you wake up this morning? So the option is nanji. Next, let us move into the sentential section of sentence composition. So a sentence is given with a few consecutive blanks. Each blank represents a word or a particle or a phrase, and all those are present in the options. The candidate is asked to arrange them in the correct order. So let's see an example. So this is yang wa dash dash star dash des. So the question here is, you can see here, star ni nani ga wa arimasu ka? That means what is there in stars? That means the question is that you have to select what should be in this star from these four options, and also the remaining three words from these options has to be put in these three blanks. So this question is yang wa dash dash star dash des, and the options are gakusei, rondon, no, and daigaku. Gakusei means student, rondon is London, which is written in katakana. Then no is the particle which implies of, and then daigaku is university. So you have to insert these words appropriately in these. So what we see that yang wa rondon daigaku no gakusei desu should be the correct one. That means Young, Mr. Young is a student of the University of London. Rondon Daigaku means London University. Young is a student of London University. So the star should be no. No particle should be in the place of star. So which is the answer? So yang wa Rondon Daigaku no Gakusei desu. Rondon Daigaku no Gakusei means London University's student or student of London University. So here is the answer. Yang wa Rondon Daigaku no Gakusei desu. And hence the answer is option 3 because the question is what should be in the star, what should be in the star in the sentence marked star. So it is no. So this is sentence composition type of question. Next we move on to the next text grammar. So in text grammar section there will be many questions linked to a single passage. So a passage will be given and it will have a series of blanks and the candidate is expected to select the correct grammatical phrase for each of those blanks. So friends, that was grammar. So we looked at vocabulary and grammar syllabus and few examples of questions that are generally asked. Next, we move on to the reading section. So reading section comprises of comprehension. It may be short or it may be medium sized length of the paragraphs. Most of the reading questions fall into this category. A passage is given for the candidate to read and then answer questions based on the reading. There are several passage-based questions, some with only one question and some with multiple questions. Some passages are of medium length, having approximately 500 to 600 words, while others are short, which are generally 150 to 200 words long. Then we have the information retrieval. Information retrieval is interesting. Here's some kind of figure or illustration or some schematic in Japanese is given and the candidate is expected to answer questions asked about it. So in earlier days, that is previously the illustrations used to be graphs and charts only, but currently in JLPT some kind of advertisements, notices, hoardings, etc. are given, which are usually seen at apartment notice boards, office notice boards, on hoardings on roads, shops, markets, etc. So this is kind of analyzing and retrieving information from those advertisements. So you have to understand what advertisements or notices are there. So there may be a notice, for example, of a fire drill that is going to happen in the society, in the apartment complex, or there is some notices regarding good conduct in the park or so on. So these are just examples. So you have to be careful and you should be, if you are in Japan then you might come across those things in the real life, but if you are giving this exam from your home country then this might be little difficult, so practice is needed for this. So next is the listening section. So this is the nightmare of most of the JLPT seekers, and this needs to be very this requires like a lot of practice, otherwise like it's difficult to understand what is being spoken about. So this section, which every candidate panics the most, listening section, is always a challenge. To add to the difficulty, the questions appear as a rapid fire round, one after the other, no matter the candidate is ready to move on or not. So the questions do not stop, you cannot pause. So that is the main challenge here. Staying focused on the current question is the key here. Even if the candidate is confused about the right answer, when the next question is about to appear, just select an answer of the previous one and move on. And never think about that question when you are answering the next question. Otherwise, the next question will also get impacted. The answer will get impacted and you will lose track. The test will get derailed because you will keep thinking about, oh, I didn't, I may not have answered the previous question correct. So don't think all these when you are when you are answering the next question. So comprehension, task-based comprehension is the first section of listening. In this, the description of the situation is provided and the candidate is asked a question about the conversation that follows. The candidate then listens to the conversation that generally takes place between two people and questions follow. The candidate has to select from the answers mentioned on the screen. Then there is point comprehension. The flow of this question type is the same as the task-based comprehension. The difference here is that the conversation is usually a bit longer and the question tests your ability to pull out smaller and more minute details. So this is little more complicated and tough. Then we have utterance expressions under the listening section. These questions are answered pretty quick. The candidate gets a picture or illustration of a situation where an arrow mark points to one person, and the candidate is asked to select the phrase that the person with the floating arrow would say. That means, what would that particular person utter in response to the question or the statement or the sentence that the other person has said. So this is interesting question, and this is pretty easy. This is not very tough. And finally, and last but not the least, quick response is the last section of the listening category. As the name implies, this is the fastest type of question. The one person says a sentence, you choose the most appropriate response. Again, the answers are only spoken. The candidate doesn't see any answer options on screen. So this is purely listening. And in fact, in all the listening sections, the questions and the options appear in the audio mode and you don't see any answer options on the screen. So one has to be very, very careful and very, you have to concentrate a lot. So if your mind gets diverted, then you are totally lost and you are totally out of track of this question. So be very careful and try to concentrate in this section. So friends, we have covered all the sections of the JLPT N5 syllabus. I hope you have got some high level idea of what is expected in this test. So as I said in the beginning, there is no definite syllabus and there is no test papers officially released by JLPT. So you have to study a lot and you have to study very sincerely and from the very basic things, fundamental things, and go deeper and deeper. So the last word, there is no shortcut to achieve success in JLPT. And this is because this is not a memorizing, this is not a test where you can memorize things and just deliver in the exam. No, that is definitely not going to help. You have to learn the language properly. You must learn the language properly to pass this test. That means the JLPT expects you to learn the language and not just memorize some stuff and vomit in the exam. Memorizing won't help much. Studying, learning, and regular practice will help instead. Random study of test papers type questions from the YouTube videos will not help again in passing the test unless you have learned the language properly in a systematic manner, just like you learn a subject in a school, like you learn English, you learn mathematics, you learn science, and in every grade you start from the first chapter and you end in the last chapter, and in that way you are learning throughout the year and then you are ready to appear in the test. So JLPT is also like that. You have to study a lot, you have to study regularly, you have to study in a systematic manner, step by step, and after that you will be very well prepared for JLPT N5 and nothing will be able to stop you from passing the test. So friends, that's all for today. In the next video, that is in the third video of this playlist, we will talk about strategies. We will talk about JLPT N5 passing strategies, what strategies a candidate should adopt to perform better in this test. So that's all for today. I hope this video has been helpful for you, for those of you who are going to appear in JLPT N5 test in near future, and we take it from there. Thank you so much. Arigato gozaimasu.